Oh
Hi
yeah,
everyone,
top right.
welcome back to another episode of AgogeTV with me, your host Phil Leonard.
And I'm your host, Josh Summersgill.
On today's podcast, we have Danny Watson. Danny was a coach at CrossFit 3D. He was also a member of the CrossFit Level 1 seminar staff for many years. It's probably fair to say that Danny's introduced the methodology to thousands of people over the last few years, and he's recently transitioned into a new profession, which you'll be interested in talking to him about later on. First things first, though, Danny, can you give us like a general idea of how you found CrossFit, and then how you sort of went from there to becoming a level 1 staff for so long?
Yeah, hi guys. Thanks for inviting me on. I really appreciate it. Bit out of the blue, but but really cool to chat.
Yeah.
Basically starting off, I was in the army and I was a physical training instructor in the Corps, and I was into a thing called cross training, which is in CrossFit terminology, it's a bit like a chipper.
Right.
And they're usually high reps, medium weights with some CV mixed in there, traditional CV. And I just come across in one of the magazines, I think it was called Ultra Fit magazine at the time, this thing called CrossFit. And I was like, all right, I'll have a look on the internet. And I saw .com. I also saw that they were selling some products on their shop called the Hopper Deck.
Right.
And they don't make them anymore. I think CrossFit stopped making it. But basically, it was 52 workouts in this deck of cards, and they had some hero workouts. They had some like name girls, and they had some snatching, and which I'd never heard of, or muscle ups. So I bought that, and I just started in my lunchtime seeing how many cards I could get through.
Right.
Learning the movements, looking up on YouTube, and that's a muscle up. Right, I'll do it on the bar or the multi. Remember those multi rig gyms, where you had the cable pulled down, all that sort of stuff. Then you had the pull up bar that was straight, and then had the handles down like that. Yeah. So I learned, and so you couldn't really kip much because you'd be going into the middle of the weight stack. But so I learned on there, and then I went off to Afghanistan. So I had a sports set rings, so I was still doing this Hopper Deck stuff. And then when I got back, I went to Plymouth. I went to a posting in Plymouth.
Right.
And I was just looking for something to do. I needed to get off camp in the evenings. I lived on camp at the time. And I've looked for, been putting off starting CrossFit. But CrossFit Plymouth was down the road. So I just went down there. James Bish, who owns that, quality bloke, did the on-ramp in an hour. And he went, oh, you move really well. Let's just start the classes. And then just started CrossFit then. And that was back in the classes and stuff was 2010. So I probably started in 2009 when I was in Afghan. And then I just fell in love with it. Just liked the variety every day. Because normal training can get a bit boring, I think, for some people.
Yeah.
And then fast forward a few years on from there, went to CrossFit Cardiff, met a guy called Dabs Dennis. He owns Reebok CrossFit Cardiff.
Yeah,
he's on seminar. Yeah, he's mate, quality bloke, one of my best friends. Ex bootneck, so I got on really well with him because I'm commando trained.
Yeah.
And when I was leaving the army to embark on being a dentist, he was like, I think you'd be good at this seminar stuff. Do you fancy trying out? So I wrote a letter, and they let me on and said, look, you can do the intern process. Intern process took like 6 months. Thought I was a good coach, got ripped apart.
That's it. Like, I love it because...
Get on. Say again?
Go on, sorry. I was just saying I love it because you can always tell an original CrossFitter when they say they started on .com. Then they were like, where did you find CrossFit? It wasn't like I went down to this gym at the local. It was like started on .com in a pure gym style. Like,
people don't even know what .com is nowadays.
I know, it's mental.
Still so good. The programming is so good.
Yeah, like it's. I know. A while back, there was a 3D used to run. Didn't they do a month out of every year where they just followed .com? And that was like, I always remember thinking to myself, I'd love to be able to throw that into our classes. Like, At the time,
There's
we
no,
didn't have nowhere near the equipment that we've got now, and we were just like, we had like
yeah.
4 kettlebells or something like that, so it wasn't going to happen. But like, I think nowadays we might actually be able to do it.
I think it'd be really good to get people to experience it. It's certainly unique, and certainly if you did it sort of like a month in arrears, you know, people know what are coming up, but it's really, really good. And you can't hide from it because they program it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's no bias. Even when it's your gym, you'll have a little bit of a bias.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. We find that. I mean, we try and juggle the programming between us and use different coaches and things to do the programming so that we don't get stuck in too much of one trainer for. But like Josh predominantly does most of the programming, and then like he either gets myself or one of the other coaches to go through it with him and make sure that it's not like stuck like you say, just not just doing handstand push-ups, which is
You're not doing planches and snatches all day, every day.
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Not every day. Not every day. Maybe once a week.
Josh's programming. No, it's cool. So you got onto level 1 staff. You say you did 6 months internship with them.
Yeah. Because there wasn't the seminars at the time. They were like, now there's like 5 a weekend. Well, not at the moment, not with COVID, but it's it was like one every couple of months in the UK. So you just jumped on the ones that I could, and you take different elements of the weekend and you get feedback and if you can action on it and stuff. And then got on staff, and away you go really, and ended up being on staff for 6 years.
Wow. So was at the time, was that your main job as well? That was so you were predominantly level 1 staff, and that was cool. I wasn't sure because I know a lot of people like they run a gym and they have staff and they're on the staff and they have like things in a couple of pies. But it's interesting to know that people can make a career out of it if they do it. Because one question that like I've had from people who've come back from the level 1 from our gym is like they're always in awe of you guys. Like they kind of like come back and they're like, wow, they were like such good coaches, which I think is like credit to. I've never had anybody go to a level 1 and come back and not be like the coaches there were so good, or the trainers there.
That's really nice to hear. Yeah.
But one thing I'd be curious about is like you were obviously surrounded by some really good coaches for a really long time. What did you learn from the guys that you were working with there, and even the people that were coming on and learning from you? What did you learn from those guys? I imagine it'd be pretty eye-opening.
I think that's a really good question, actually. Something I haven't really been asked before, but in terms of what did you learn from the participants? Did you actually learn more, I think, from them and how to manage? I'll start with that side of the question first, and because there's such a varied bunch of people with abilities, with knowledge, past experiences, you actually end up, firstly coaching wise, having to really adapt really well, because you're still coaching on there, but you're also trying to teach them to be coaches. So because of the difficulty in movements, you learn how to communicate so much better. And they say if you can teach it, then you're going to be a bit better of an actually active coach in a class. So that was good. People coming on who were with a double amputee, leg amputee, and having to sort of think of the mindset. They can't squat. We still need to practice some movement patterns, and then then you go down the road of teaching them how to teach more. But he needs to be able to use his words so much more because he can't use his body. The guys are learning from the other red shirts a ridiculous amount of knowledge. Just learning how to present properly, learning how to sort of manage your time really well and keep on track and not drift off. I talk a lot, so
I have that problem.
I had to learn to just deliver the material and not try to deliver it 4 times in 4 different ways.
Yeah.
Do you ever find that when you were teaching people on the level 1 that because CrossFit's methodology is very sort of direct, isn't it? Like it's sort of like a no bullshit approach. Do you know what I mean? It's can be quite sort of what's the word? Like combative, can't they? Up at HQ, do you know what I mean? They're like, this is the way we do it. End of story. Blah blah blah. Do you ever find that people coming onto the level 1 can be quite not difficult as such, but
No.
Resistant.
Resistant. That's the word. Yeah, resistant.
You'd always get a few. Not every seminar.
Yeah.
In the early days, more so. Really, and you'd think to yourself, why are you here? You know, why are you here? You're like fighting everything we're saying. And actually, this is a really good thing. So one of them, he made one of the other red shirts upset, one of the girls, and made her really upset. And she was like, "Oh, I know everyone else is getting their backs up, saying, oh, you know." And one of the top girls at the time from HQ was over visiting, and she said, called us all in. She said, "Listen, this can't carry on. You need to kill him with kindness.
Yeah, right.
Kill him with kindness." And make him believe. Don't see it as a barrier. Don't see it as a blocker and say, right, he can go over there. Don't even try to talk to him. Try and make him believe. And at the end of the weekend, the guy came up to him and said, I had the best weekend, learned so much.
Right.
Wow.
And I'd had that so many times. A person who you think doesn't get it or doesn't like it, at the end of the weekend, they were like, wow, that just blew me away. That was amazing. And actually, what you find is you look at them and they think, oh, they've been really anti. What they're actually doing is really trying to understand it.
Yeah.
But because their face doesn't express that, they some people can come across as a bit like, gosh, he don't get this, he doesn't like it. But actually they did.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think of only one person I've ever taught in all those seminars that was just a bit like the whole weekend, and just walked off at the end, didn't even say goodbye to anyone.
Right.
I was like, so wasting money.
If you're not interested in learning, do you know what I mean? And it's not exactly a cheap seminar, is it? So like,
no. I suppose you found out the hard way.
Yeah. Exactly.
No. Do you know what? It's an interesting thing as well. It's a question I actually heard on another podcast. Somebody was suggesting that the level 1 staff should all get together and write a book of all the different experiences that they've had while they've been while they were teaching level 1s, and like I know like you can get sent all over the world from, can't you? So there's been some pretty amazing experiences. Is there any particularly funny ones that stick out to you? Ones that you probably tell us about. And
So one of the most memorable ones was literally just got on staff and done one seminar in Copenhagen. I then came back, and the next seminar was at my old army camp, the regiment PT corps. They were running an in-house one, so we turned up. Loads of banter going around because I knew all the lads. And then it got to the muscle up station, and they were like, "Oh, you're on demo." I was like, "Yeah, fine, yeah, no worries." Could like bash out muscle ups, strict and stuff. I was like, "Okay, cool." And we went outside, and it had just started raining, and I went to do the L-sit muscle up and failed it.
Oh,
right. And I was like, "Guys, the rings are wet," and they were like, "Yeah." So I did it. But I never, ever lived it down.
Oh,
never.
You can't be doing that, can you? Oh,
mate. Every time the lads would be like, "The rings are wet."
Absolutely.
Mate, I was devastated. The boys loved it. I was getting text messages off people who wasn't even on the course.
Danny and his wet rings. Oh, Christ.
I bet that's one of those things that's gone down in legend as well. You started off with like, oh, he narrowly missed a muscle up, so he couldn't even do a pull up, and
yeah,
brilliant.
oh.
So I'd love to find out more about level one, but I know I don't want to keep you chatting all day. The other thing when we mentioned it then is obviously you are known as Danny Watson Legend on YouTube, aren't you? For for your 24-hour pull-ups world record attempt. Just tell us a bit about that, and tell us a bit about how it come about and what happened.
So basically, it all started really the sort of fuel to the fire was back in 2005, where I met a guy who had met multiple records. His name's Steve Highland. If you ever look him up on Instagram, he's Steve Highland WR world record WR, and he's 60 now. He's an absolute monster. And he'd just broken the strict chin-up record, I think, for 24 hours, but did it in like 7.
As you do.
So I was like, I wonder if I could do pull-ups for 24 hours, and put it to bed. Didn't really think about it. And then in 2008, me and one of the lads, I messaged him and said, "Oh, do you fancy doing 7 chin-ups or 7 dips every minute for 24 hours?" And he was like, "Yeah, let's try it." So we did like a 20-minute session, and it was literally do 7 chin-ups and 7 dips every single minute. And we did it for like 20 minutes, barely made it. And phoned him up. He went, "I reckon we can do it." I was like, "Yeah, me too." So we ended up doing it in 2008 on the 11th of December, and we did it. I did 15 minutes. He did 15 minutes for the whole 24 hours, and raised like £4,000 for Help for Heroes.
Wow.
Monster. I can't believe the DOMs I had. It was ridiculous. And so after that, I think I sort of got over that, and I got back into normal training and stuff like that. And then one of the guys who owns Rogue Fitness sent me a video of a guy doing the 24-hour chin-up record in February 2016, and I was like, "That's it. I'm going to go for the pull-up one in December." So I was like, "Right, I'm doing it," and then basically trained for it. And just wrote off everything else really. Just did loads of upper body calisthenics work. That's where I sort of saw Josh doing his stuff with all the powerlifts and stuff. I thought, oh, you need good balance training. And I read a book called I think it's called Zero Gravity, or I think, have you seen that book, Josh?
Overcoming Gravity.
Overcoming Gravity. That's the one.
About this big, and it's just like
yeah.
Bible of epicness.
Yeah. So I sort of read most of that, not all of it, obviously, because you'll still be a. And just training for that basically. And then in the December, I attempted the world record for pull-ups, and it was 7,306 at the time. It's a lot. It's more now. And I was training really, really well. It was going really well. I'd done a 12-hour session and did I did 8-hour session, and I did 3,200, and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely on for that. Right. And then on the day I and no cramps, no hand tears, nothing. And then on the day started off and stuck to the routine, which was 5 every 30 seconds for 10 minutes, and then have a little rest. So I ended up doing like 100 every 10 minutes, and it would be 400 an hour. And I thought I'd get this done if I can keep that pace up, which I probably couldn't, but I did pretty much for about 8 hours. And then, oh my God, I started getting cramp, but I was getting cramping on my triceps, which is really weird. And then cramping my chest. It was like, I don't know what had caused it really, because nutrition was the same. And then hamstring cramp from holding your legs up. But I was still going really well. I got to 12 hours and I've done 4,300. And I was like, well, I'm still like 700-800 ahead. And we were raising money for a clapper, which is the Cleft Lip Palate Association.
Right.
And on the day, the money went through the roof. So I sort of like raised 17,000. We were up to like 13,000 at 12 hours, and like 12 hours to go. I thought, I'm going to go for a little shower, have a little change up. Came back, still repping out, but slowed down a little bit. I think I was doing about 300 an hour or something like that, and just hit.
Is he gone?
Oh, he's gone.
No, we can't stop.
No, he can't jump out there. What's going on?
I hope he knows he's gone. I'm assuming he'll come back in a second. The next thing I want to ask him about as well is like, oh, here we go. He's back.
Is he back?
He's back. He's back. It's all right.
There we go. He's back.
Like, you can't leave us hanging there. Just like.
Don't know what happened there.
Crescendo and then in a bit, boys.
Could have been the best
Yeah.
ever if you'd gone. If you'd not come back, we'd have just been sat here waiting.
I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. Hit a brick wall at like 16 hours, like savage. And I was like, I need to have just a rest and see if it helps. But it didn't. And I had about 50 minutes just laying there. I couldn't sleep or anything. I was in so much pain. And I sort of come back, and then I tried for like an hour to do pull-ups, and I just couldn't lift myself up. I did 7 in an hour.
Wow.
And it got to like 19 hours. I was at 19 hours, and I looked at Dabs Dennis. That's the same guy who helped me out get on seminar staff, and he was there. He's there for the whole time, and he was just like, "I think you better stop, mate." I was like, "I just don't think I can do any more, mate." He went, "No, nor do I." He went, I think you keep going like you are, you end up just really badly injuring yourself forever." I was like, fair enough. So I called it at 19 hours. So I stayed there. We stayed on location because I was determined to stay at the gym for the whole 24 hours. Apparently, I fell asleep. And one of my other friends, Prav, said I was in my sleep, still doing this.
Awesome, I love that.
But it ended up with 4,907 miles off the record, but chuffed to bits of what I tried. I tried it. My mind was strong, but the body just couldn't put up with the volume. And the irony is, a guy last year, actually, I know, who was on seminar staff as well, in America. He tried it, and he trained really hard, and he literally popped his gasket exactly the same time.
Right.
Interesting.
Literally hour 16, bang, gone. He went from doing the amount of reps he needed, like 5 reps, couldn't do single one.
Wow. I suppose the question is though, was the pull-up bar wet?
Yeah.
I think what happened was someone sprayed some water on it.
It was raining in the gym on it, mate. That's what it was.
Oh, mate, I'll tell you what, that's a cracking effort, that though. And like, even like, regardless of the fact that you obviously you blew up towards the end of the challenge, doing that many pull-ups for that length of time is still incredible. And to put yourself through it, like, you'll probably learn a lot about that. And if anything, you'll probably learn more having not quite making it, you know, as opposed to obviously like coming out the other side of it. So it's still extremely impressive.
One thing I like, a couple of things I want to ask about you. The first one is like at what point did you sit there and go, I'm pretty good at pull-ups, I can do that for 24 hours. Because I can imagine Josh turning around to me and go, yeah, I feel like I can do handstands for 24 hours because, you know, like a bit of training. Do you know what I mean? Like, was it that, or was it, I'm pretty shit at pull-ups, I know how I'll get better at them. You know what I mean?
No, I knew I was pretty good at pull-ups, but because I've already done it, I thought to myself, could I do it on my own?
Yeah.
Without having a mate there. I essentially did 12 hours. And the funny thing is this, we did 10,080 reps, so of each in 24 hours. So on that day in 2008, I did 5,040 chin-ups and 5,040 dips in 24 hours. So I did more. This is crazy, but I was a bit younger, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah, so I think for myself, maybe I could do it. And it's one of those things, human's endeavor. I like watching those documentaries on Netflix and stuff about people just trying crazy stuff, and I think it's essential. And it doesn't have to be 24 hours. It doesn't have to be something epic, or, it just has to be you pushing yourself. And whether that would be in learning a new language, learning to play an instrument, just because we're in the fitness game, it often sort of like comes out in that sort of pursuit, doesn't it? Challenge, a fitness challenge. But I think for me, it's quite essential that you're always pushing yourself as a human or trying to do something. And just because we're in that, we're doing it in that way. Like this year, I set myself a target of doing all the hero workouts in 12 months.
Right.
So there's 197 written on CrossFit.com. So we're all in a spreadsheet, and me and Dabs are doing it together. Obviously, challenging at the minute with not having to be able to go to the gym, but still managed to get 4 in a week, which is what it is. It's 3.8 a week for the 12 months.
Right.
I was going to say there's probably quite a few bodyweight ones in there as well, isn't there, that you could move around.
Have you sort of planned how you're going to do that? So obviously, if you got all the workouts and almost effectively programmed them. No. So you can do basically Murph one day into Barbara the next day, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. So what the plan was, because they're all when I wrote them all out, they're all quite repetitive in the movements.
Yeah.
What we said was, because we were both not in the best of shapes that we've ever been in CrossFit wise, we would first few months be very sort of variance orientated. So like the next day wouldn't be the same movements, as the one before, and that worked out really well. But later on, you can't be done like that because you've exhausted that process.
Yeah.
So and especially with COVID, the lockdown now, I'm doing. I find myself sometimes I'm doing like burpees and press ups the next day, and squats and lunges and stuff. But it's all okay. It's just training. And at the end of the day, you just get through it. And if you're hanging out, you go a little bit slower.
How long are you going to put off Kalsu for?
It's not a hero workout,
isn't it?
It's just
I'm so happy.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
It's a footballer.
Ah, right.
Exactly. See, that's
It is not
a hero workout.
You're not the first person to ask that, mate.
That's because it's fucking horrendous. That's why.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it?
I've still never done.
So bad. Wait, Tom Blade did it in 12 minutes something the other day.
Did it? He's a horrible creature, isn't
Oh.
About 20 and I nearly passed out after it.
Oh, wow.
Mate, it's so bad though, isn't it?
So just for anybody that doesn't actually know what Kalsu is, Danny, do you want to just quickly explain what the workout is?
Yeah, basically it's 100 clusters, which is squat clean into a thruster at 60 kilos for men and 40 kilos for women roughly. But I don't think you'd start with 5 minutes or 5 burpees on the minute. You just do it once the minute. You do the first minute free, and then every minute you do 5 burpees until you've done the 100 thrusters, which it doesn't sound that bad, but it's so bad.
Yeah. I've only ever watched it, and I was just like, no. Like I watched Josh do it, and Josh is built for squatting, so I was like, nah. If it can hurt that much for somebody who's built for it, I don't fancy it. It's not for me, that one.
The juice is not worth the squeeze.
No.
Oh, it's so bad. Such a bad workout. It's quite funny. My missus, she's just out in the garden, and yesterday we were on a dog walk, and she was like, "Oh, I've got 100 hang clean and jerks with 5 burpees on the minute." She was like, I reckon I'll go at 40 kilos. And I was like, what? I didn't say it though. I didn't say it, I just thought it. I was like, all right, fair enough.
Get it, man. You get it, man.
Yeah. Mate, I went outside. She was just like, she went down to the empty bar, mate. That was so bad.
Oh,
ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Wow. Terrible times. I mean, I know like when you, just to take you back to the pull-ups again, when you attempted that, obviously you did it for charity and you raised like a ton of money for charity, and the CrossFit made the video, so I'll put that in the show notes so that people can give it a watch, and see exactly what we're on about. The last thing I just want to ask you about the pull-ups. Obviously you didn't quite make it. Is there anything that, if you was to like give somebody some advice for attempting something like that again, what would your advice be? What would you say to them? Be like, don't, like, go slower at the start, like anything like sort of marathon endurance challenge? What's you like?
I would say exactly that. Don't go off too hard. I think I went off too hard. If I'd done it again, I'd probably just pace myself a bit better. But the other thing is, I think the biggest thing in anything like that is know what you're doing nutrition-wise. I think I winged it. I suffered for it. It's one of the things probably one of my weakest points in knowledge-wise. And when I was heavily into fitness, you need to know how much you've got to drink, how many calories you need, when you're going to do it. You know, how much protein do you need? How much salt do you need? Because it's really, I think that's probably more important than some of the training you can do.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to plan in, and you've got to plan it in with your training throughout the year, so it's not a shock to the system.
Yeah, seems fair. I like it. I know when, and like, obviously not even on the same sort of level, but we did a marathon rowing to Murph. We did it to get a defib for the. I did it to get a defib for the gym, and everyone kept saying to me like, "Oh yeah, like just make sure you got carb drinks," and and I was just like, it's not that long. Do you know what I mean? And then I got off the row and was like, yeah, I don't feel so good. I'm just gonna sort of like, I was like,
the jelly babies.
I ran like a 12-minute mile or something like that. I was like,
Got PB then?
Yeah, this is it. I was like, I was literally just walking. But no, I was like, but like again, I think I found that coming off that, I was like, yeah, if I hadn't have had like gels and drinks and stuff, and that was only what, 6 hours did it take me, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
It was a long time. Felt like a long
Very
time.
brutal, that.
It wasn't
brutal.
fun. It wasn't fun. But funnily enough, the worst bit was the air squats.
I bet.
Yeah, I did the pull-ups in 5s and the air squats in 3s. I was like, yay, pull-ups, this is brilliant, like in a vest and everything. And then I started doing air squats, and I was literally doing 3 and then going for a walk around the gym and then like doing it. It's the worst thing. And it wasn't like my legs were hurting; they were just so tired.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Excellent. So, the next question I wanted to ask you about, obviously, you've transferred from being full time in the fitness industry to being a dentist. It might just be me, but I find that an unusual transition. I feel like something you said before, you've been planning on being a dentist for a while. So how did that all
Yeah. Probably similar time that I was doing the hopper deck in Afghan, basically. It was in Afghanistan, and we co-located. I was doing like physiotherapy, sports therapy sort of thing for the soldiers as part of my job as a soldier. And the dentist and the dental nurse was there, and I got to see what they were doing, and I thought, it's brilliant now. You're fixing things with your hands. I thought, I'm going to look into that. And my brother was a doctor, and I thought, I wonder if I'm clever. I never thought I was clever enough. So I looked into it while I was there, and phoned my missus up, and I was like, I'm going to be a dentist, you know. She was like, shut up, just come back alive. And I got back, and then I had to do GCSE English again.
Right.
And then I applied in 2012, and got a place in Manchester. So I then left the army and moved to Manchester. My wife got a job at Salford Royal, and did 6 years at uni to become a dentist. And it was just something different. And I thought to myself, I used to be an engineer before I was a sports therapist. So I was fixing things with my hands, but it wasn't people. And then I was fixing people with sports therapy, but it wasn't with my hands because it was exercise therapy. I was doing exercise prescription.
Yeah.
So the two married together, fixing people with my hands.
Wow, cool.
Like
That's-
it.
Yeah, it's a very when you say it like that, it sounds like a very natural progression, and like, but obviously, like for me, I like looking at it from the outside. I was like, level 1 staff dentist. I was like, wow, okay, that's
But you can't see the correlation until you say that. And then
No,
when you say that, like Phil just said, it's like, okay.
I like it.
Interesting. I think it was about 2 years ago. I went to the dentist to get what's it called when they don't whiten your teeth, but they properly clean it.
Scale it.
Yeah. So I went to have like a scale and polish, and the dentist said to me, "Oh, do you floss?" And I was like, "I'm going to be honest. I've tried. It takes me about 45 minutes. So I'm sorry. No, I don't floss." And she's like, "Oh, it doesn't take that long." I was like, "No, it does." And she said, I bet you I can floss your teeth in less than 30 seconds. I said, if you can floss my teeth in less than 30 seconds, I will go and buy some dental floss right now and floss every day for the rest of my life. And she literally wrapped it. It was like some kind of like dental floss ninja. Through my teeth in like 12, 15 seconds. And I was like, right, I'm going to start flossing my teeth. And now I do.
Oh, awesome. I love it.
Literally now I do, yeah. And but I was just so impressed by it because like you can't floss your teeth that fast. I was just like,
it's like anything, mate. It's a skill that you just got to practice.
yeah. Well, that's it. When you first do it, you're like, I mean, it just doesn't work. I was incredibly impressed. I was like, okay.
Yeah, never got the hang of it. I just slobber it all over myself and just like. Oh.
So you're telling me you don't floss, Phil? Right? Okay.
Anyway, so we've got some questions.
You smell Phil's breath over the conversation.
My
I was going to say, I was going to
all the time. One of my clients is actually a dentist, and like she literally I go to her practice as well, and she sort of comes in and she's like, I see another one of the doctors, and she's like, "Have you had your checkup?" And I'm like, I always feel dead bad. I'm like, not yet. She's like, "Don't forget you get your teeth cleaned for free." And I feel like I'm in trouble with my mum. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I brush my teeth every day. It's fine. Awesome. Right. We have got some more fun questions to finish up with, and we might go through a few of them because I'm interested to hear a couple of your answers. First one, book or film recommendation that everybody, or both if you like, that you feel like everybody should read / watch.
I think book-wise, one of my favourite ones is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
By Dale Carnegie. When I read it, I was like, oh, wow, it's amazing. Just some simple little things that just go a long way. Just basically to be a nice person.
Yeah.
Really love that. And I think film-wise, although I haven't watched it for a long time, just love Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, great.
Yes. Yeah. I was actually thinking about that before. You know, when he gets the Big Kahuna burger, I don't think I've ever watched it without wanting one of them.
Right.
Watching a full stomach, and I'm like, I want that burger.
I've got a question for you because we did a little quiz on, Zoom the other day with someone, and I didn't know the answer. You know Samuel Jackson's character. What's his first name?
Oh,
no idea.
Because Vincent's John Travolta, isn't it?
Yep.
Vincent
Vega.
I don't know. What is it?
It's Jules. Because the only time you hear his name is when he goes to Quentin Tarantino's house, Jimmy. He goes, "Don't Jimmy me, Jules, okay?"
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay.
No one got it.
I need to watch that again. Great.
We had a quiz and I asked the question of what's Fight Club, like what's the main character's name as according to the credits, Ed Norton's character, and nobody got that one either.
Oh yeah.
So he's down in the credits as the narrator, and you never Yeah, you never actually hear his name in the film.
Brilliant.
I was like, wow, yeah, cool. So how to win friends and influence people. I think that's the second time we've had that recommended. So if people don't think
Second time this week, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Not read it, read it, buy it.
Go get it. Listen to it if you need to. I think that's how I did it the first time.
And me.
Yeah. So if somebody was to make a film about your life, who would play you?
Does it have to be someone famous?
Video.
You know what? No, if you want to pick somebody else that is not famous, and as long as it's not yourself, that's the
God, I don't know actually. God, that's a really good question, isn't it?
I always feel the problem is you don't want to go too big and be like, yeah, I want Brad.
Yeah, big boy, anyway. You know what I mean?
I gotta go home.
Tom Hardy, of course.
Yeah. I reckon maybe
Good decision.
What's his name? Willow, the little small guy.
I know what you mean. What?
I can't remember his name.
Is it Warwick Davies?
Yeah, Warwick Davies.
Good answer.
Excellent.
I think the best one we've had for that is one of the girls from our gym, Nat. She said Vin Diesel. Wow, love it.
Wait, what was even like some people have to put a bit of thought into it. She went Vin Diesel, like prepared for it all her life. I was like, you're not bored.
Yeah.
Love it. She just wants to be jacked.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, next one. Best swear word. What's your go-to swear word?
Cunt.
Cunt. Yeah.
It can be aggressive, but it can also be endearing. You know what I mean? You're a good cunt. GC.
Okay.
Excellent. I like it. I feel like you had that one prepared as well. Like,
I feel like I did. I've got the t-shirt on and everything, you know.
Excellent. Okay, this is another one that stumps everybody, but I really like this question. So, if you could spend 24 hours with somebody and you can learn everything you possibly can from them, they can be dead or alive, who would it be? So the point being that you're going to just try and get as much information out of them as possible, and you've got 24 hours to do it.
Class that.
We've had some good answers in the past. We've had.
I bet you have, yeah.
Yeah, we've had Annie. Annie's always a good one. Who else have we had?
Good one. It's a good one.
No, I'm stealing all your answers.
I reckon someone like Stephen Hawking, you know.
Right.
Just because he's deep.
Comprehend everything he knows, though.
Yeah. The thing is, I'd like him to be able to talk, you know what I mean? But I reckon I'd like to find out, you know, lots about about all the universe and all that sort of stuff, but how he just like got on with it and was happy.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's quite inspirational, that, and just his mindset. I like finding out why people think the way they do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a cool answer, because that's not necessarily I want to speak to Stephen Hawking because I want to know the mysteries of the universe. It's just like
no,
more about how he deals with things that like the challenges he's come up against. I like that.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, my wife used to think Stephen Hawking was a famous skateboarder. But he's not, is he? He's not that guy. Sorry.
You've got a special delivery there, Josh. I think it's the divorce papers, mate.
Too late.
We were doing a quiz the other night, and I can't remember what the question was, but the answer was polar bear, and my missus turned around and went snow bear, and I was like, snow bear.
I'm stuffed because my wife is like turbo clever, so she rarely gets anything wrong, but when she does, She knows it.
Does
Yeah.
not live it down.
I feel a pain. It's like, I got a maths question wrong the other day, and now I'm just firing random mental arithmetic at me just to see whether.
How many eggs we got left, Phil? I don't know.
We had 6 minus 2. How many did you buy? Okay, amazing. I think that's all. I tell you what, no, we'll do one more just because I think we've got a little bit of time left. So, if you could try your hand at another profession, what would it be? No, like, or another way to word it: what's your dream job if you're not already doing your dream job?
No, I think I am, but I'm not. I just can't. I'm not allowed to do it at the minute. Do you know what? Probably like a storyteller. You know, like a book, like writing like books,
Okay.
but like fiction. I just don't have that mindset. I just think it's wonderful how people can like, write stuff like Game of Thrones. Who has that brain?
Yeah. Where does all that come from?
Wow.
A lot of LSD, a lot of time.
So maybe a writer.
Yeah, cool. I like that one. Yeah. That's really good because I think like I can't map out a 6-week training program without like having to get a whiteboard out and you know what I mean. So imagine like trying to write 20 years of worth of story.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I like it. Excellent. Right, Danny, that was awesome. So I think people will really enjoy it. Before you go, can I just get, if anybody does want to get in touch with you, maybe they need the teeth cleaning, maybe they just want to check in with you and I ask you some more questions, how do people get in touch with you?
So on Instagram, I've got a dental page, which is that Danny Watson _dentist.
Okay, I'll get that in the notes. Yeah,
Cool.
Awesome. I'll get that in the show notes. I've also put I will be putting. I've got the link to the video from CrossFit video from the pull-up challenge as well, so people can
Thanks, mate.
look at that. Cool. Right, guys. So thank you very much for being on today, Danny, and thanks for joining me again, Josh. Obviously, for everybody listening, if you enjoyed today's podcast, then please like, comment, share, subscribe, all the rest of the usual stuff. As always, we don't sponsor the podcast, so all our likes and shares is how we get it out there and how we get to keep making them. So thank you again for listening, and I will speak to you all next time. Peace.